things like meditation, mindfulness, walking in the woods, enjoying music, things like that that really can help us to bring down that stress response, allows us to begin the healing process. And once our brain sees, oh, it is safe to relax and to let go of thoughts for a few moments, we can build on that over time. It's usually small steps at first. But we want to take the big steps and see the wins right away. Sometimes we need to take those small steps first in order to build up.
Hi, I'm Lennis Woods Mullins, and I love to help women to vibe, to be more vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and empowered in midlife. So come on, let's vibe. I will be turning 68, which is 2 years from 70. And when I think about that, I think, golly, I don't feel like I'm 2 years for 70, but it really is pause for thought in terms of, okay, what kinds of things do I need to be doing to leverage my wellness? I'm in great health, but what other kinds of things do I need to be doing so that I can feel better, look better, all those kinds of good stuff. And that's why I'm really glad to have with us today a wonderful guest. Lori Clemmons is a compassionate wellness coach who deals with chronic illness. And also she is a chronic illness survivor. She's author of Rewire Your Wellness. And she also it's a holistic guide for healing chronic pain, anxiety, and fatigue. And the thing that really resonates with me when I read that title, Lori, is that I was an anxiety sufferer for about 25 years. And I finally did get rid of the anxiety through a lot of different holistic practices and modalities over the years. And now I could say I'm about 95% free. But please, first of all, welcome to the podcast. It's wonderful to have you here. And tell us a little bit about you and your journey with chronic illness and how you arrived to the idea of rewiring your wellness.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I so appreciate your view and your outlook on really taking care of yourself. And that's really so much of what I teach. I ended up getting very, very sick and was homebound and at times even bedbound over the course of 27 years. So chronic fatigue syndrome, lupus, chemical sensitivities, food sensitivities, mold issues, so many things, and had just really, I'd run the gamut with the doctors, the meds, the therapies, and had really gotten frustrated and was really at a point of, it's just going to be my life. It sucks. And discovered self-directed neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to rewire itself based on our thoughts, our emotions, and our environment. And so I started really working with calming my nervous system, things like meditation, walking in the woods, changing my thought patterns. So instead of thinking, hey, it just sucks, but this is my life, changing it to, hey, my body is amazing. I'm going to support it in its effort to heal. And I'm going to take care of myself with love and compassion. And then just really changing my environment. So including more joy, more creativity, more deep connections with people and with nature. And really started to see as that limbic system, that fight or flight response started to come down, it changed the chemicals. Instead of having all of the adrenaline and the cortisol, my body started to develop serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, all of those wonderful, good feeling neurotransmitters. And my body then had the ability to start healing. So I was able to heal from the lupus. I was able to heal from the food issues, the chemical issues. My body, when we have that fight or flight in place, it uses a ton of energy. The body is hyper vigilant, trying to keep us safe. But when I was able to let go of that and just go into calm and relaxation, my body then had the energy to be able to heal. and to do more just in my day-to-day living that I had not been able to do for so many years. So my energy came back, my health came back, and it was just amazing that it was not through a medicine, not through a doctor. I'd done all of those things, but they hadn't been enough. And it really was through retraining my brain that I was able to have that wellness.
Well, that's amazing. And I know many people are going to want to know, how do you start with this rewiring your brain? Because things like lupus they're chronic. They tell you there's no cure. Things like
Right.
chronic fatigue, they have a problem diagnosing it. And then once they diagnose it, they have a problem treating it.
Yeah.
So what you've discovered or stumbled upon as a practice that works for you might work for a lot of other people. So what's the first step? Where do they start in the whole idea? I know they need to read your book. That's absolutely positive. Definitely want to read the Rewire Your Wellness book. But seriously, where do you start when you're trying to do something from a neural plasticity? Is that right?
hmm
Point of view.
So it's really funny because I actually I remember the day when this finally made sense to me. I woke up one morning, horrible headache. I had plans to go out. I was so upset I had to cancel my plans. All I wanted to do, I felt like I just need to get out. And so I asked my husband to drive me to the woods. And when I got there, it was just this, that misty, kind of surreal type of look to the place. And I just started walking and just being present. I let go of the thoughts of the worry. I let go of this is just going to be bad. I'm angry. I don't get to do what I want, and just enjoyed what was around me. And so just that awareness and being, and then allowing myself to relax. We have so much going on in our lives, and it's so easy. And from that place of anxiety, it's so easy to think we need to solve every problem in front of us, especially when we have health challenges.
Mm,
And as we age,
mhm.
we can definitely start to feel, oh, I've got this ache, I've got this pain. What am I going to do to fix it? And we can get wrapped up in all of the what ifs, but that just keeps us more in that stress response. So things like meditation, mindfulness, walking in the woods, enjoying music, things like that, that really can help us to bring down that stress response, allows us to begin the healing process. And once our brain sees, oh, it is safe to relax and to let go of thoughts for a few moments, we can build on that over time. It's usually small steps at first, but we want to take the big steps and see the wins right away. Sometimes we need to take those small steps first in order to build up to those bigger steps.
And you're absolutely right about forest bathing. There's a
Mm,
chemical that the trees exude that you really can't get anywhere else that really can alter our overall mental wellness and how we're feeling emotionally. That's why if you notice going to a park, have you ever noticed when you go to a park, you kind of feel this relaxation, maybe an uplifting of spirits, and that's because you're around the trees. That's one of the reasons I love living where I live because we have a lot of trees on our property, but
mhm.
we have a little forest right on the other side of our property. Part of it is our property, and the other part is, the county's property. But we have a little gate that leads out to the forest. So I try to go forest bathing at least once a day, walk out there and just stand amongst the trees. And it makes such a difference when you're overall well-being. And I think that a lot of people are looking for things that they can do like today, actionably. And that's one of the things you said, forest bathing or walking the trees, getting in the sun. And you mentioned music. Why is music something that can impact our overall emotional wellness?
So music is great. It does a couple of things. Depending on what you're listening to, a lot of us get really happy, excited, encouraged when we listen to that music from back when we were in high school or college. It
Mhm.
brings back these memories. And so it really brings us out of that stress response and into joy, into connection. And so that can be a really great, depending again on what you're listening to, it can also lead us. You think of meditation music, that calming It can be very calming and relaxing and really help the brain to slow down. And as we pay attention to the music, we're not paying as much attention to the thoughts that might be racing through our heads. And so again, it allows that brain to relax. So mentally and emotionally, we're able to come down a little bit.
Then you mentioned chronic fatigue as one of the chronic conditions that this approach can help. How how does this work with chronic fatigue? Because chronic fatigue is such an esoteric diagnosis. A lot of people don't even understand exactly what it is. How does, your approach really work from people feeling chronically tired all the time?
Yeah. Well, and it's not that this completely replaces medical doctors
Mhm.
and working with your doctor just to make sure that if there is something medical that you can take care of to help support you, that you're able to do that and know that. But what happens is we can get caught in this triggered response.
Mm.
We can, a lot of times it can start with a cold or a flu or just being tired from overworking. And then the body can start becoming hypervigilant. Oh no, I'm tired again. I need to rest.
Mm.
And we start sending these messages to our body. Oh no, I need to rest. Oh no, I need to slow down. And so that in and of itself keeps our limbic system, our nervous system triggered and using up more energy just in survival mode.
Mm.
Whereas when we can come down and say, oh, my body is healing, my body is doing great. I'm going to take care of my body. I don't need to worry or stress, but I'm going to honor my body. You
Mm.
go for a short walk today. We tend to be, I need to go to the gym and work out. And that can be a little too much.
Mm.
So when we take these small steps to support our healing and wellness, that's when that limbic system's able to relax. And then we're able to build capacity.
That's interesting. So basically, starting off smaller is really more impactful than starting out really large. And it reminds me a little bit about that whole thing about an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I think sometimes we have a tendency to like just go for it and just do all the things. And then within 30 to 60 days, we're not doing any of the things because it's really hard to take on so much change within a short period of time. So when it comes to implementing something like this, what's the pace? How do you go about implementing it in such a way that you don't get burned out or you don't get frustrated because things don't seem to be working as quickly as you thought it was going to work?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I talk about what I call compassionate self coaching.
Hmm.
And we have 3 steps. The first is compassionate awareness. It's like, how am I doing? What do I need? If maybe I'm having a day where, oh, I'm just a little heightened today. Or it's like, I'm doing pretty good today. Where am I? And what do I need? And so then being able to have your list of tools. What do I need today? The walk in the woods. Or maybe I need to do some art. Or maybe I need to, what is it that I just need to spend some time with my friends? What do I need today? And so just that compassionate awareness. Again, that compassion is so important because we live in a culture that we really think more is better. I need to push. I need to
Hmm.
work harder. And we can get caught up in being critical of ourselves for rest or for self-care.
We have this thing about rest. I mean, I've had that thing for years and I still struggle with it sometimes. I feel like I need to be doing something. Now, the girls are all grown up and gone and have been. I've been an empty nester for 13 years. Still, and yet, I feel a little guilty about just resting. My husband doesn't have a problem with that at all. He'll take a nap in a minute. Me, I'll take a nap and I'll start thinking about, oh, I really should be doing this. I'm really not that tired, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing I know, I'm back up working again. What are some of the detriments of running your life like that?
Well, we keep that limbic system triggered. The thoughts of I have to do this before I can rest keeps that fight or flight triggered. And again, so much of that nervous system energy. And when our body is saying, I need to rest, and we're not listening to it, and we push it, We're
Mhm.
not allowing it to do its normal healing process that comes naturally. Our bodies want to heal. Our bodies want to be able to recover and just do even just the normal maintenance
Mhm.
work that it needs to do. But when we're constantly pushing, it doesn't have the opportunity to do that. And so that's where a lot of chronic illness can come from is the constant push.
Constant push and not getting enough rest is interesting because as we age,
Mhm.
especially for those women out there who are, premenopausal and menopausal, one of the things that happens is that your sleep pattern gets disrupted. And there's all kinds of things you can do. And that's a whole nother podcast about the kinds of things you can do to try to get back into a regime of sleep that helps your body. But let's say you're one of those people who just not sleeping well. That kind of adds to some of the, it exacerbates your particular issues that you have. So, what would you suggest for someone that's having problems sleeping, not really shutting down? How can they begin to get better with that so they don't end up with some other kind of chronic ailment?
Yeah, yeah. And sleep issues are so common, not only with premenopausal issues, but just with any kind
Mm.
of chronic illness. Most of them come with sleep issues. And one of the things that happens is when we do have that sleep issue come up, then we can get frustrated.
Mhm.
And what that does, it sends messages to the brain of this is bad, this is bad.
Mhm.
And it makes the brain more sensitive so that the next time that we have a sleep issue, it triggers even bigger.
Hmm.
And so when we trigger that stress response, we can't fall back to sleep. And so we end up in this loop of it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. So what I teach is when you have that time that you wake up during the night,
Mhm.
take a few breaths. I have a few minutes tonight to just be able to maybe think through what I can be grateful for that happened yesterday. Maybe you can have queued up an audio book that you've been wanting to listen to. There are so many wonderful visualizations that you can listen to from YouTube for free. That,
Mhm.
a story of someone walking in the park. Just beautiful, calming things and honoring that time that, okay, my body just needs to work through something.
Isn't that amazing
Yeah.
that our body really does want to support us? And everything, I always say, everything we really need to be able to survive and live a good life is either within our body or in the ground in
Yeah.
terms of the food that we can grow as medicine, actually. Now, you mentioned the lymphatic system, and I know you do things with the limbic system. Can you tell us what the difference is and why they're important as we age?
Yes. The lymphatic system is different than the limbic system.
Mhm.
So the limbic system is the part of our brain that is always on the lookout for threat.
Mhm.
And you think about when you're driving and someone in front of you runs a stop sign. Your limbic system is that part of you that jumps in before you even have a chance to think about it and hits the brakes.
Mhm.
And it's always on the lookout for how to protect us. And so we want to be able to speak kindly to it. It's important. We love it. It keeps us safe. But we want to be able to gently guide it because sometimes it's not right. So
Mhm.
you think about it's like a smoke alarm. We have a smoke alarm in our house. It's there to protect us.
Right.
But sometimes it goes off when there's not a fire.
Right.
And the thing about our limbic system, each time it goes off, it becomes more sensitive
Mm,
toward the next time, which explains why sometimes a food sensitivity can continue to get worse
mm,
because we keep triggering it. And so that limbic system, it's not the enemy. We need to learn to work with it, kind of like we would learn to work with a 2-year-old. So, a 2-year-old, you can't tell a 2-year-old what to do. You can try. It might last a little bit, but eventually it's all going to come out. They're
they're going to
not.
do what they want to do, or at least what they think they want to
Exactly.
do.
Exactly. And so much of working with our limbic system is like working with a 2-year-old. if I mean, I remember my daughter, she was afraid of a swimming pool. Could have thrown her in. She'd have figured it out, I'm sure, but it wouldn't have worked. So, with our limbic system, when we take these baby steps, then we are helping to teach it a new way so that
Ah,
it's able to unwind some of its old patterns, create new patterns of safety. So at one point, we were telling it, oh, waking up in the middle of the night, that's not good. And so it would continue to trigger. But now we can teach it, oh, waking up in the middle of the night, I can spend some time being grateful. I can listen to a book online. I can take this as just some extra me time right now.
yes,
And so,
absolutely. I'm all for that.
yeah, so then we unwind those old patterns and we're able to relax. And then the body is better able to fall back to sleep or whatever it is symptom that you're working toward.
There are some people who do get to sleep, but they never feel quite rested when they give up or when they get up in the morning. What kind of advice would you give women feeling stuck in those kinds of cycles of being, exhausted and getting frustrated because nothing quite seems to work?
Yeah. And part of that, one of the things that I've found has been really helpful has been to change the thinking around that because we can then fall into the thought pattern of my body just needs 10 or 12 hours of sleep and the next day is just going to be terrible.
Mhm.
And we can easily fall into that, just expecting the day to be bad.
Mhm.
And so reframing those thoughts
Mhm.
to, you know what, it's going to be a great day. I'm going to have everything I need for tomorrow.
Mm,
And
that's powerful too. But what we tell ourselves, what we think about, what we ponder on truly does come to pass. So you can choose to take the high road and say positive things. And this is not advocating being in denial of what's going on.
right.
Around you. This is not this. This is choosing to take maybe a look at the forest and not just the trees. Because as we know, nothing lasts forever. Eventually things change. And usually when things change, we have a tendency to abhor change, resist change. But a lot of times on the other side of change is something that is really good. Look at your situation when you decided making changes in your life so how are you now as a result of, dealing with things differently with your chronic fatigue and your anxiety and your chronic pain?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. It's really funny you were talking about lupus and I still check in once a year with the doctor, my lupus doctor. Every time she treats me like I'm cheating on the test.
She just doesn't want to give you your props, huh?
I know it's the funniest thing. So, but yeah, doing really well. I'm able to do hiking and jogging and keeping up with my kids, which has been huge.
Mhm.
Yeah, so doing really well. I'm really pleased. So, one of the things that I've noticed again with aging,
Mhm.
I'm seeing new things that come up as a part of aging, how I
Mhm.
view my body,
Mhm.
just different things like that. I'm getting more grays these days and things like
Mhm.
that. Yes. And so being able to use these tools for things like that,
Now, how are you using the tools for things like that?
just being able to look at my gray hair and to look at the wrinkles and to be able to say, I am so proud to be who I am. I've been through a lot, but
Mhm.
I have worked hard and I'm so grateful to be here. And my
Ah,
body has been through so much. I'm so grateful for the work that it's done. It might look a little worse for the wear, but I'm grateful for the work that it's done. And
ah.
being able then to look forward
Mhm.
rather than staying stuck in the negatives of what I can't do or what is a little more difficult right now. I spend more time on taking care of myself than I did when I was 25.
Well, definitely part of this method is all about forward thinking. It
Yeah.
really is. And
Yeah.
it's also about creating your world as you go instead of giving in to how everybody else is encoding the world and thinking about it and talking about it. I can remember when I was in human resources and I went through the sensitivity training. And one of the things, it's still, I can hear it every day, it talked about guarding your words and actions. Now, from an HR perspective, when we're talking with someone, be careful what you're saying, how you say, be careful what you're doing, whatever, because you want to always come across as fair and caring but appropriate and all that other kind of stuff. And it's really interesting. It's the same kind of thing in terms of living our lives and being careful what we say and how we say it, because it does create a certain kind of vibration or energy that pulls more of that kind of way of thinking to you. I've seen it happen to others. I've seen it happen to me. That's why I really want to be careful about guarding my peace, setting those boundaries.
Yes. And one of the things that was really amazing to me through this process has been I used to speak to myself in ways I would never speak to someone else.
Exactly.
Something wouldn't go the way that I had wanted it to. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
such an idiot.
Right. Hmm.
I had not realized that was my constant self talk. And when we talk to ourselves that way, it triggers that fight or flight stress response in the
Hmm.
same way as if someone else was speaking to us in that way. But we've got those thoughts going 24/7.
Hmm.
And until we can recognize them and catch them, we're going to continue to trigger that limbic system. So our self-talk is incredibly, incredibly powerful. But I know for me, I did not even recognize I had self-talk.
Hmm.
And so then once I could recognize that, I did not know how it really impacted my overall well-being.
It's interesting because I've heard some people have told me, oh, well, there's no such thing as self-talk. There's no one talking in my head or whatever. And it's not so much someone talking in your head. It's very closely aligned to the idea of experiencing being in touch with your intuition. It's that inner guidance, that inner GPS, that inner voice, or some might call it the Holy Spirit that speaks to you. And it's interesting because you have a choice. You can choose to ignore it and keep doing what you're doing, or you can choose to stop, take heed, and act on it. And I think when you stop and take heed and act on it, that's when you begin to get some really amazing results.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and also being able to listen to it and be able to have the discretion. Is this true or is
Mhm.
it not? Do I choose to live this, whatever I'm thinking, or not? So those times that I'm such an idiot. Wait a minute. Is that true? No, I made a mistake.
Right.
I did the best I could. I am learning. I'm resilient. And I'm going to figure this out.
That's very true.
Yeah.
It's interesting because as you go through life, it gets easier and easier to see where there are learning opportunities that may not always support what it is we're thinking we need to do or how we need to do it. When we were younger, a lot of times it'd be, I don't need to, I already know my way or the highway, this is it, which is very age appropriate for, the teenagers and the 20 something. So no shade on the 20 somethings. I'm just telling you, this is very age appropriate. It's very age appropriate between the 30s and 40s. Things happen, and when they get real interesting, it's like hair on fire moments. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. By the time you get my age, ain't too many hair on fire moments. It's like, okay, been there, done that. How did I cope with it? What did I learn? And how do I want to apply it to the current situation? Just that alone and looking at things in that way slows you down a little bit.
Yeah.
Begin to not, feed into the emotional minutia, which can take you down that rabbit hole. And I can tell you from experience, it's hard to climb out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we can do that, look back on those opportunities as learning opportunities, be grateful for what came out of those learning opportunities, then it can allow us to be present in our current learning opportunity and be able to let go of the fear
Yes,
and to
I'm
just
glad
be
you
able,
mentioned
my favorite mantras, I am resilient, I am flexible, and I can learn new things.
I am resilient, I am flexible, and I can learn new things. I've seen something similar. I like that. One of the things I love about what I do is I'm always learning new things from a technological perspective. I'm one
Mhm.
of those late bloomer, baby boomer techies. I can sit down and have a tech conversation with a 20-year-old. I may not understand all of it, but I get just enough to understand what's going on. And I find that so many women my age, if they haven't done much, in the tech field, and it's grown so much, they almost feel intimidated by it. But I
Yeah.
want to encourage you all not to feel intimidated by it. Most of the time, when you're learning something new, you're going to make some mistakes. And usually the learning modality affords, knows that's going to happen. You're not going to break it. Nothing terrible is going to happen if you make a mistake, especially in technology. Just delete, backspace, restart, whatever, But the whole idea is giving yourself, your brain, your overall essence, an opportunity to be something new, to learn something new, to do something different. And I think that's what helps to add to your vitality.
Yes, absolutely. Our brain craves learning.
Mhm.
And so often we can get stuck in the learning, the stress stuff,
Mm,
as opposed to learning, taking up a new hobby, being out around new people. I'm trying to learn Spanish, learning crocheting. As we get older, we can kind of naturally tend to settle into what's comfortable.
right.
The I am resilient, I am flexible, I can learn new things actually came from several years ago trying to design my website.
Mm.
And my husband's a tech guy. And so he was no help at all because different area of tech, but he just kept telling me there's no tears in web design, no tears. And I'm like, not helpful. Because there were many tears. And it wasn't until I'm like, wait a minute. How can I change this thinking?
Mhm.
I am resilient, I'm flexible, and I can learn new things. And was able to approach the project from a whole different place and was able
That's
to figure it
beautiful.
out.
That is definitely living what you preach, as they say,
Yeah.
and that's why I think that what you do is so wonderful. And just listening to this, I know it's going to help so many people really get a handle on managing those things they thought were unmanageable. So thank you, Lori Clemmons, for being on the Vibe Living podcast. It's been wonderful having you here today.
It's been wonderful visiting with you, and I'm so enjoying getting to know your community.
Oh, thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who are listening to the Vibe Living podcast. Thank you for making us in the top 8% of podcasts globally, which means that if there's, I think, something like 31 million podcasts or 3 million, whatever it is, some huge number that we're number 300,000, whatever, but that's okay. I don't care about that. The fact is that you're coming, you're listening. I would just love it if you would please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the podcast. That helps keep us in the feed so that more people can find this information and get some really great information that's going to help them live a wonderful life as we age. Let me just say this. I don't believe that aging means that you have to be old. Of course, aging means that you are slowly dying. I don't know why you don't like to talk about that in this country, but guess what? We're all dying, but we can choose how it is we're going to want to go out. You can be hooked up to all kinds of different, wires and all kinds of pills and all this other stuff, no quality of life. Or you can do the things that are going to help you to be able to vibe, be more vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and empowered in this wonderful journey that we call life. I go for the latter, and I hope you do too. Thanks so much for listening. Have a fantastic day. And don't forget to vibe. Bye bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Vibe Living Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share this podcast. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe. Bye bye, everybody.